Very pleased today to talk about our exciting project, the Skukum Gold Project, located in Yukon, Canada. I'll start flipping through the slides. First, I invite everybody to read our cautionary notes to go along with the presentation at your leisure. These are pretty customary. So, what is the Skukum Gold Project? Well, it's a high-grade gold resource located in the Yukon. It's a district-scale property. We cover 170 square kilometers. It's a brownfield gold camp. We have near-term upside from our existing resources, and we believe we've got tremendous potential to make new discoveries on our property. We've just recently completed a financing, so we're fully funded for this year's exploration program, and we'll be targeting our high priority targets for expanding our resources and also following up on some of the many targets that we have on our property. We're led by a proven management team and a board. Between us, we have extensive technical capital markets experience with exploring, developing, and operating mines. Here's our capital structure. Following our last financing, we currently have 52.7 million shares outstanding and a current market capitalization of $79 million. Our largest shareholder, Silver Corp Metals, currently has about 29%. The company insiders control 11% of the shares. You can see our share performance on the right-hand side. We did our initial financing last fall. It was very tightly held until the shares that were issued to the public came free trading through the private placement. Until they became free trading in March. So we had a bit of a run up on the stock. We've been fairly stable since the shares came free trading. So here it is, the Skukum Gold Project, 170 square kilometer land package. We're situated only 55 kilometers south of Whitehorse. We're 85 kilometers by road from Whitehorse, and it's all-weather roads, and the roads are maintained by the territorial government to within 17 kilometers of our site. Additionally, we sit only 185 kilometers from the deepwater port at Skagway, Alaska. That port has been used historically for shipping concentrate from the Faro mine, currently being used for the shipping the concentrate from the Minto mine. And if we determine that the best path forward for us is to produce a gold-rich sulfide concentrate, we have access to deepwater port. We are on Carcross Tagish First Nation traditional territory. We consider them our partners, and we work very closely with them on anything we do. And we have an underexplored district scale property, and our resources, as you can see them at the bottom, we have approximately 335,000 ounces in the indicated category at 7.8 grams per ton, and we have 245,000 ounces already in the inferred category at 6.9 grams per ton gold equivalent. And those are spread over 3 different properties. The important to note here, when we talk gold equivalent, we are only talking gold and silver grades. We have not taken into consideration the potential of any of the base metals on these properties. So zooming into the property, and you can see it here, the large red stars are the deposits where we have resource. You can see here the Mount Skukum deposit, Skukum Creek, and Goddell. Those are our main deposits. The largest resource right now is on Skukum Creek. The past producing mine, the Mount Skukum gold mine, operated from 1986 to about 1988. It produced 79,000 ounces of gold from about 233 tons of ore that was mined and processed, very high grade. Across the 3 deposits, we have over 6,000 meters or 6 kilometers of total development. That includes 5 portals across the 3 deposits. There's up here in the center top here, You can see that's the past producing 300 ton per day mill, which is still there. It was a Merrill-Crowe type gold recovery plant. They recovered close to 90% of the gold that went into the plant. We also have a 50-person camp. And the Mount Skukum and Goddell deposits are the smaller of the two resources. So our big focus this year will be on Skukum Creek. In total, we've got about 141,000 meters of historic drilling, both on surface and underground. Here's some results from the previous drill campaign in 2011 by our predecessor, New Pacific. And you can see across the three deposits, we have slightly different gold-silver ratios. On Skukum Creek, you can see that we have gold grades and very good gold grades, very nice gold grades, and very high silver grades. At Mount Skukum, decent intercept lengths and much higher gold, slightly slower silver. And Goddell is based strictly on the gold grades. Although there are minor amounts of silver, they have not been included in the resource. This shows the Skukum Creek deposit looking south. You can see two of the portals are at Skukum Creek, and they've got a portal at 1,300 meter level and a portal at the 1,350 meter level. The 13-meter level portal also includes an internal ramp that goes down to about the 1,225 level. You also see the surface expression of two of the four veins that make up the Skukum Creek deposit. In the veins themselves are hosted in a granodiorite rock, and it's massive. Ground conditions in the footwall development are excellent. These deposits have been drilled off for over a kilometer strike length and approximately 700 meters vertical, and they remain open both along dip and along strike. In total, there's about 2.8 kilometers of development underground. And these are the results from our drill program last year. Our goal last year was to better define the deeper portion of the rainbow zone, which is where the bulk of the resource sits right now, and to validate some historic drill hole intercepts, some very high grades with thick, with wide intercepts at depth. And you can see the results down here in the table below of that drilling. You see the three drill holes here that were drilled within the rainbow zone. The first hole hit 8.93 meters at 6.5 grams per ton gold and 187 grams per ton silver. These are with a true width of about 8.1 meters. The true width of the second hole was 6.3 meters with 8.1 grams per ton gold and 175 grams per ton silver. And then the final hole was a 5.8 meter true width with 11 grams per ton gold and 300 grams per ton silver. We're very excited because not only are these grades above resource grade, but the true widths that we intercepted were thicker than what the model was predicting in those areas. And here's the Goddell deposit. Fascinating deposit because the structure has been mapped for over 5 kilometers. The portal comes in over here on the west side, but there's also a portal over here on the, there's a couple of portals over here on the east side of the deposit from the 1960s when an antimony play was being developed. There are stibnite veins within those portals, we've been told. And over here, back to the west, you can see, so I'm going to get a contrasting color here. So you can see here, right here, this is the resource. The total resource is only 500 meter strike length. So we've really only have resource on 10% of this structure. We do have a portal on it. The portal comes in from the west side for about 800 meters. and you can see it better on the next slide. You can see the portal in red coming down above the deposits. It's made up of 2 veins, and you can see the grades on the left-hand side with 330,000 tons in the indicated category at 8.1 grams per ton, and in the inferred another 480,000 tons at 7.1 grams per ton gold. But interesting, out here on the west side over here, these intercepts have not been included into the resource because they're too far out. And our goal this year is to drill the zone in between, to drill this zone right here in between and fill in some of that gap, hoping to extend the resource from the current resource out to those intercepts that were made in 2011. But again, I remind everybody that this is only 500 meters of the 5 kilometer long trend. So in the future, when we have the proper permits, we'll get back in, we'll extend that decline further, and we hope to extend those veins even further out towards the east and expand this resource. And this shows the past producer, the Mount Skukum mine. And most of the production from the Mount Skukum was right here on the circ zone. You can see it here, both in section and in plan view. The circ made up the bulk of the production, the 79,000 ounces from 233,000 tons of ore. There was some minor amounts of development ore taken in from the Brandy and Lake Zone. At present, all of the resource is right here on the Lake Zone. And the resource there is about 90,000 tons at 9.2 grams per ton gold and 12.9 grams per ton silver. Our geologists are confident that these zones extend at depth and along strike, but also worth noting here, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, are the number of showings that we have around here, the veins. So many of these veins having been discovered in about 1988 when the operation was close to shutting down, and they were never properly followed up on. So this is one of the things that separates us from the past explorers on the property, is that there was a fractionated ownership of the whole 170 square kilometers. And we're the first ones to come at this using modern exploration techniques to explore the full 170 meter square kilometer package. And so we plan not only to focus on resource expansion, but we also feel that there's great potential that some of these other showings will also be future deposits that we'll be drilling off. This shows the west side. This shows the east side of the project, and we talked about Goddell right here in the middle. Well, and then we talked about the Becker Cochrane, which was the stibnite mine back in the 1960s. We also have the Porter deposit, which is a lead and antimony deposit just south of Goddell. That requires more an analysis, more structural analysis to understand the genesis of the deposit before we put a drill on it to start looking to develop resources in there. And over here on Chieftain Hill, a number of veins, essentially almost on strike or some parallel to Goddell, that also represent great potential for future discoveries. So our geologists will not be bored on this property. There was a slide here, there, and somehow I skipped this one. The western part of the project. We talked about Mount Skukum, which is up here. And then you can see as we get west, there are more and more of these veins, parallel veins, that have been discovered. Again, they were discovered in the late 80s, just prior to shutdown, and they were never followed up on. So we'll be spending some time there this summer, having a look to see, understand them structurally, understand their alterations, and seeing if we can put together a program for future years for drilling these off. And then you get further to the west, and you've got the Charleston, the Watusi, all of these, the Tango, all of these veins here, even further to the west, which are all trending, essentially north-south, that require additional follow-up. There are dozens of additional showings on this property outside of our 3 main deposits. So 2021, what are our catalysts for this year? Well, we have a extensive resource expansion drill program planned. We plan to test the depth and strike extension of Skukum Creek, the Rainbow Zone, as I showed you, plus the other zones. And also, we plan to test the strike potential of the Goddell structure, where we feel we've also got a good potential to expand resources this year. Looking for potential new discoveries, we will be looking at Mount Skukum to understand the veining system over there, to look for good targets for future drilling, and we'll be looking for additional regional targets through the use of geophysics and alteration mapping. And while we're at it, of course, we'll be following up on the metallurgical work that was done by our predecessors. We've already started some in-house engineering looking at how mining scenarios would look. And we're doing advanced environmental work right now for future permitting for what's called a Class 4 and future permits in the Yukon, and basically putting together the development path for the Skukum Gold Project. And social responsibility. Well, we as a management team and a board, we understand our responsibilities. We also appreciate the fact that we're on the Carcross-Tagish First Nation traditional territory. We respect that every single day. We have from the first day the new management team came on, we've reached out to our First Nation partners to understand their concerns, try to address their concerns. We believe that by being transparent through everything we do, involving Carcross-Tagish and the other communities in what we're doing, we have the greatest potential for success as we work our way through the permitting process and ultimately the development of the Skukum Gold Project. We're also focused on our safety responsibilities. We expect our managers to meet or exceed safety standards and regulations wherever we work, and be responsible stewards of the environment. And to that end, we continue to work. This is a district scale property with a high grade gold resource open for expansion. We've got a fully funded 2021 drill program to test 3 high grade gold deposits this year. And we have a seasoned management team with a track record of exploration success. If I could, I am going to just slide back here because it seemed to have skipped a slide for me, an important slide. And this is our team, our management and board. I'll introduce myself first. I'm at the top left there, Kevin Weston. With it says 30 there, could be 40 years of experience in the industry on the operating side. From an operator, contractor, consultant with extensive gold experience, as you can see, and with a proven record on safety and environmental, and worked extensively on community relations. Dr. Cruz, our chairman and director, he's currently the CEO of New Pacific Metals, our predecessor. He was the founder and former CEO of Trevally Mining. He founded Trevally and took it from essentially where we are today to $1.5 billion company. He's as you can see, he's a PhD geologist from the University of Dublin at Trinity College. Bhakti Pavani joined us in December, gives us great exposure to the U.S. She's an equity research analyst down in the U.S., been a great help. Dr. Ri Fang, our newest director, he's a geologist. He's a mine builder. He's been an extremely successful entrepreneur and mine builder. with over 25 years of global mining industry experience. Lauren Waldman, lawyer, 20 plus years of working in public companies and on their boards, a great asset to us. Jean Zhang is our CFO on the management side. She's came to us from Deloitte. Tim Kingsley, a VP Exploration, over 15 years experience in exploration. He and his team have done an excellent job of building this database from this 140,000 meters of drilling and bringing in all the old development plans and mining, all the information that we can gather. And he and his team now are developing an excellent handle and generating the new targets for us going down the road. Laura Lee Johnstone, who is our VP Corporate Social Responsibility, she's a born and raised Yukoner. She's got over 20 years proven experience in environmental management, permitting, and community relations. She's worked with a number of companies in the Yukon and northern BC on building relationships with communities, and she's also has extensive understanding of the permitting process in the Yukon, having been a chair of the Yukon Water Board and also a former manager for the Yukon Environmental and Socioeconomic Assessment Board. Steve Staku, Vice President, Corporate Affairs, worked very closely with Mark from the founding of Trevally to build it out to where it is today. He's been a great asset to us. And Nikki Graham, she's our General Counsel and Corporate Secretary. She makes sure that those cautionary notes are always up to date and pertinent. That's the end of the slideshow. That's who we are, and I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
Kevin, thank you very much. Once again, a deep dive into the company vision and goals. I appreciate hearing all the insights from you. This always brings great questions, and once again, we've been very active in the Q&A column while you've been sharing your information. So we'll just jump right back in and ask the source what people are looking to find out right off the bat. So first question would be, how do you intend to grow your resources, Kevin?
Well, it's easy. Drilling. We have our three main deposits. We have Skukum Creek, we have Goddell, we have Mount Skukum, and we'll be focused on them this year. These are our main targets, and that's how we're going to grow our resources initially as we start to understand the dozens of other targets on the property. Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Another question asks, what makes Whitehorse stand out from its peers in the exploration space?
Oh, good one. We're a relatively new company. We only have 52.6 million shares issued and outstanding, and we've already got, we've done our first financing, managed to raise $15 million, and we're starting off with, high-grade gold resources. We're not starting from scratch. We already have 335,000 ounces of gold equivalent in the indicated category, and we have another 246,000 ounces in the inferred category. So I think all of those help us stand out. Mm-hmm. Then you add in the fact that we're in a great location. We have year-round access. We have port access. I think it just makes it a compelling story.
Terrific. Thank you. We've had the great pleasure of hosting folks from various parts of the world, South America up to Quebec, the U.S. I'm curious, from your perspective, Kevin, what is it about Yukon and that environment that makes it ideal? And everything comes with complications and challenges and hurdles, but tell us a bit about the environment and just the jurisdiction in the Yukon.
Well, the nice thing about the Yukon is it has a very mining savvy community. Even the small communities, because the Yukon was essentially built on mining. Right. I think they're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the first gold discovery in the Yukon this year, which is kind of exciting. So, 125th anniversary, I should say. So, which is exciting. So, I think that helps. Mm-hmm. They've got a process for permitting, which is been tried and true. It works. There's no process that's perfect, but it works, and we have not had any surprises to date with the process. And you've got a government, and whether it's current government or the opposition, both are mining friendly. They understand the value of mining to the territory. And of course, it's accessible. It's easy to get there. Now, what makes our project so unique is that we're even more accessible because we're just right outside the capital city of the Yukon. We're only 85 kilometers from downtown Whitehorse.
Great, thank you for that. A couple of questions dabbling in the infrastructure territory here. Curious, Kevin, generally speaking, what's the infrastructure like up there? And a more specific question from Jacques about the road and bridge infrastructure into the Skukum Gold project, and just resource-wise through this year, the potential for upgrading infrastructure in camp is needed.
Okay. Well, the camp itself was put in 2011, and we'll be upgrading that this year, refurbishing it so that we can use it this year, and that work's going on right now. The rest of the infrastructure, well, you can imagine a plant that was shut down in 1988, 33 years ago, is not production ready. So we certainly don't see that as being a possibility. But there's some equipment there we can use that we can take out, refurbish once we get to a production scenario. But more importantly, the shell of the mill is in excellent condition, which allows us, to go in there and do work in the winter, and be protected from the elements, which is a huge benefit when you're doing work in the Yukon. So that's in good shape. The old truck shop is actually our current Corp processing facility. So it's fine. There's been a lot of work done on that. We won't need any of the other infrastructure this year because we're not producing. We'll be using the truck shop for the core processing facility in the camp.
Okay. Thank you for that. Question from Jacques saying, with the focus on Skukum Creek in 21, do you think the more promising exploration potential to add ounces is at depth or along the strike?
Good. We're going to know this year, and that's a big question we hope to answer this year, because we'll be stepping out both down dip where we drilled last year in the Rainbow Zone, where we have those big fat juicy intercepts, and pushing that out further down dip and to the south. But at the same time, we believe that the deposit carries on across what's called the Portal Dike, and that has never been, it hasn't been intercepted across the dike. We tried one hole last year, and we feel we found the footwall rocks. So we think that once we do that, we could open up a whole new exploration regime along strike as we move the deposit to the north. So we're going to answer that question this year. That's our goal.
Okay. Good to know that. Thank you for sharing. Just looking back, how would you say you'll be differentiating yourselves from past exploration on the project?
Well, the past explorers were a fractionated group. There were many juniors in there. Each of them focused on different sets of these veins that I was talking about, and there was no wholesome look taken at, okay, what is the genesis of this huge epithermal deposit that we've got, or deposits, I should say. There's an epithermal source there, and this allows us to look at, well, for instance, even the Charleston, which was discovered in the early 1900s, was never drilled because the owners didn't have the land to get a good angle with a drill hole. Okay. So, by owning that, we can go in there and drill that off, for instance. So that's the advantage to having the whole land package and being able to work it.
I appreciate that. A lot of investors are looking for conscious investment opportunities as well these days, Kevin. So a question leads into the First Nations territory. You shared a little bit about the company's approach for that. With relations and engagement with local stakeholders, do you have engagement with the First Nations at a level that feels you can move forward in a good way?
Well, we feel we've got a good relationship right now with the Carcross-Tagish First Nation, but with any relationship, you can't take it for granted, especially when you're talking about mineral development companies or mining companies and local communities. You constantly have to be working on that relationship. We have to constantly be working transparently with the Carcross-Tagish First Nation, which we do. We don't submit anything. For instance, we don't submit anything to the Yukon government without first discussing it with the appropriate branch within the Crocus First Nation, so they understand what we're doing. We don't want them to have any surprises. We don't want to lose their trust, because that's a lot of what these relationships are built on. They're all built on trust, and if you lose that trust, then you're hooped. So we work very hard on that every day.
Understood. I just want to open the door here for any other thoughts that have come to mind to share. Anything we haven't touched on, Kevin, that our viewers would be interested to know, either for forecast or key hurdles that you see a great opportunity to overcome. Anything from inside the company you want to share there?
Well, I would just say, sit tight and wait for our first exploration results. We hope to get some out July, August this year, depending on how backed up the laboratory is. We're currently refurbishing the camp. We're getting ready to mobilize, and we'll be drilling, soon. And we expect to have results out real soon, and that'll be the catalyst for this year. So stay tuned.